Okay, so you've fed the baby, changed the baby, rocked the baby, checked everything you can think of, and still your baby is crying. And suddenly something inside of you starts unraveling, falling apart. Well, you're not alone. Many loving mothers and fathers carry this daily experience silently inside of them. Welcome to Self-Led Parenting Live. I'm Jaclyn Long, licensed marriage and family therapist and founder of Mindful Child and Family Therapy in California. And here we talk about parenting through the lens of internal family systems, or IFS, as well as mindfulness and relational healing. And I want to remind you, you don't have to be a perfect parent to be a deeply loving and deeply effective parent, and that your overwhelm is welcome here. All parts of you are welcome here. Today, I want to talk about something that many mothers and fathers experience, but often feel too ashamed to talk about openly. How activating it is when your baby cries. The sound of a baby crying can feel completely overwhelming for us as parents on a gut level, on a nervous system level. Sometimes moms say to themselves, "Why is this affecting me so much? What's wrong with me? Why can't I stay calm?" But what if nothing's wrong with you? What if there are simply parts of you working very, very, very hard to help your baby feel better so you can feel better? Let's slow this down together. Imagine the baby has had a good nap and has been fed and burped, changed and rocked, walked around the block, driven in the car, and held, and still they're crying. Many moms have a deeply loving caretaker come up in these moments. Internally, it could sound like, "We got to fix this. Let's figure it out. Make him stop crying. Do something to help the baby." And from the outside, this can look very loving because it is loving. But underneath all that love and caretaking, there's often worry and fear. Fear that the distress might somehow be dangerous, a sense that something terrible is happening, concern that if the crying continues, we're failing as moms somehow. And that creates an inner tension, a visceral agitation, which can feel completely intolerable and awakens a part of us that works even harder to help settle the baby so we can feel better and not so agitated. And after working really hard, maybe trying to feed the baby again, maybe trying to have the baby nap again, telling the baby you're hungry, or telling the baby you're tired, and we can't settle the baby, that can make us feel powerless. And if we feel powerless, that's a very vulnerable state for any human being to be in. And in IFS, we talk about an intimate connection between our vulnerability and our need for protection. So if our vulnerability gets touched and it's like we're on fire inside, our first responders, our inner firefighters, will come to the rescue immediately. Why? Because they're dedicated to our system. They're dedicated to protecting us like a bodyguard. It's all about dedication. And suddenly, when they take over, we might feel rage. And that rage might feel so out of context and kind of confusing because, well, we love our baby. We wanted this baby. And then when we feel the rage, then shame might come up, shaming us for feeling angry at an innocent baby who we do love so much. And then all of this internal heat might reach a boiling point, and a wave of numbness, of detachment, might rise up inside to help cool everything down inside. And this is the part I really want to slow down today. Because often mothers only notice that final feeling, whether it's the frustration or rage or shame or the shutdown and numbness. but there's usually an entire inner sequence happening, like a forest fire inside. It can look something like this. Baby cries, then internally, make this stop. Then, why won't this stop? Then, I must be doing something wrong. Then, I can't fix this. Then, helplessness, powerlessness. And again, when human beings feel trapped in powerlessness, rage often emerges. Not because you don't love your baby, not because you're not a good mom, but because your inner system is overwhelmed and is desperately trying to regain control, to restabilize, to understandably feel less vulnerable. And then immediately after the rage, shame often rushes in. How could I feel this way towards my baby, my own baby? Rest assured, so many loving mothers carry this cycle silently inside. And the good news is that there's also a healing force inside. In IFS, we talk about something called self-energy. Richard Schwartz, the founder of IFS, refers to self-energy as the undamaged, healing essence within us all. That's right. This self-energy is inside all of us, even if we're not aware of it or in touch with it. It has certain qualities. It's often experienced as calm, compassionate, confident, curious, connected. I think of self like the sun. You know, the sun doesn't disappear. Even when clouds move in to cover it up, the sun is still there. But sometimes the clouds just block our access to the sunlight. And in this case, clouds might come in the form of beliefs that we carry, like good mothers should always know what to do. Good mothers should always help their babies stop crying. Feelings must be fixed immediately. Crying is a bad thing and must be pacified. I cannot tolerate feeling this helpless. These are beliefs. Beliefs that are often carried by protective parts of us that learned very early in life that emotional distress was overwhelming for those around us, and therefore overwhelming and unsafe for us. Maybe we were ignored or punished when we cried. So the crying that we hear from our baby can feel completely intolerable to something and somewhere deep inside of us. Unbearable. So now when our baby cries, those old protective systems rush in automatically, unconsciously, trying to help us and our baby the best way they know how. And this is the gentle reframe I want to offer you today. What if the goal isn't to make our baby's feelings disappear immediately? Like this, shh, 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 don't cry, shh, shh, don't cry, you're okay, shh, don't cry, shh, shh. What if that's not the goal? What if it's even more helpful to simply stay connected to ourselves and to our baby during the unpleasant feelings? Your baby might not always need you to stop the feelings. Sometimes they need your warmth, your rhythm, your breathing, your grounded presence, your permission to feel their feelings, your encouragement to express themselves fully, like this. That's it, sweetie. Keep going. Yeah, you're having a really good cry. Tell me all about it. Yeah, you're safe. I'm right here with you. Essentially, we're saying yes to the feelings instead of saying no. Most of our parts will say no to the feelings like this. Shh, shh, no, 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 shh. Don't cry, sweetie. Shh. Don't cry. No, 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 no. Shh. Here, try the passy. Here. Yeah, open your mouth, put the passy in. No, 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 no. You can just put the passy in, honey. Right? So we're saying no to the crying, and that can cause us to feel out of control because we're not able to stop what we're trying to stop. Saying no, we're trying to stop something. So when we're working with our parts, when we make a U-turn and we take some time to go inside and be with the parts of us that are saying no to the crying, we can ask for a little space to be with the emotional expression and say yes to it from a compassionate, spacious place within us. Yeah, that's it, sweetie. Yeah, I'm right here for you. Right? Richard Schwartz writes, emotional healing doesn't just come from emotional expression. Emotional healing happens when there's a compassionate witness to emotional expression. Something in us that can say, yes, yeah, yeah. I'm right here as your compassionate witness, sweetie. Sometimes maybe your baby needs your nervous system to help their nervous system feel less alone as the big wave of feelings move through. So I want to invite a small pause here. Just take a moment to notice. If this is something, that's bringing up some activation or touching something tender in you, maybe simply notice what's happening inside of me when I can't immediately stop someone else's pain, especially my baby's pain. What parts of me get activated? And then just take a moment to be with those ones inside, offering them some curiosity, a little warmth, a little tenderness. And feel free to take a few more moments with this. You can pause the video if you'd like. When you're ready, you can turn the video back on, and I'd like to read a letter written from the perspective of capital S self to the caretaker part of us inside. It's called Letter from Self to the Caretaker Part. Dear caretaker part of me, I see how hard you're working. The moment the crying starts, you rush in immediately, urgently. I can hear your voice saying, we got to fix it. We got to stop this. We got to do something. You learned somewhere long ago along the way that distress was dangerous, that feelings needed to be silenced quickly, that if emotional pain continued too long, something bad would happen. It makes sense that you panic. It makes sense that you feel desperate to make this crying stop. So, thank you for trying so hard to protect us. But you don't have to carry this all alone anymore. The baby doesn't need us to fix their feelings. And emotional pain isn't always an emergency. Sometimes what heals the most isn't making the feeling disappear, but staying present while the feeling moves through. For instance, I'm here now with you, and I can see that you're hurting. I can see that you're hurting because you haven't been able to stop the crying. You haven't been able to settle the baby, and I can see how hard that is for you. We can slow down together. We can breathe, even as the baby's crying in our arms. You don't have to work quite so hard anymore. I'm here, and I care about you, and I can be with you and all that you're feeling right now. You can tell me all about it because you, dear caretaker part, you are my primary concern. Love, capital S, self. let's take a moment to let that letter land together. And here are a few things I hope you might take away with you today. Your overwhelm doesn't mean you're a bad mother or father. Rage is often sitting on top of powerlessness. Protective caretaker parts often learned early on that emotional distress must be stopped immediately. Big feelings aren't always emergencies to be fixed or solved. Babies don't need you to stop their unpleasant feelings. Calm, connected presence matters deeply. And your self-energy is still there, flowing within you, even when the clouds move in. If any of that resonates, please feel free to write it in the chat to help yourself remember if you'd like, or just write it down on a Post-it note. And I want to close today with a short letter in response, written from the perspective of a baby to their mother and the caretaker part of their mom. Dear Mom, I know my crying feels big sometimes, bigger than you expected, bigger than your body knows what to do with. Sometimes you try everything, feeding me, changing me, rocking me, driving me around the block, putting a pacifier in my mouth, all while trying so hard to make my crying stop. And when my crying continues, I know something inside of you starts to feel scared, maybe overwhelmed, maybe helpless. But Mom, I don't need you to be perfect. I don't need you to make every big feeling that comes up in me disappear immediately. Sometimes I just need your warmth, your heartbeat, your steady presence, your nervous system, helping my nervous system feel less alone with the big feelings that are moving through me. I'm still learning what it means to be human. Everything is new for me here. Light, hunger, cold, exhaustion, and yes, feelings. Sometimes crying is how my little body expresses that coming into this world was a big change for me. And sometimes I just need you there to hold me through it. And even when the clouds move in for you, even when you feel tired or frustrated or lost, your love still reaches me. So thank you for loving me, even when I cry a lot, especially then. Love, your baby. So loving parents, thank you so much for being here today. And if nobody has told you this recently, I want to validate for you that parenting is deeply emotional work. And it's helpful to have support with all that comes up inside of you as you parent your little ones. And if this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with another parent who might need a little more compassion or support today. And remember, all parts of you are welcome here. Thank you for doing some of the most important work in the world, raising little ones with big feelings. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific.